Chapter 12. Winter and Spring. The next day Hugh and Dickon met, as by agreement, at the door of St. Joseph's Chapel. "You remember those stairs at that trap-door that we came up against?" said Dickon. "You know we couldn't get the thing open, but you were quite sure from the chart that the stairs led up to the old church." "Yes, I know. Then I began going over to Beckery by myself. But I never did learn anything from Master Blaheris that would open a trap-door or clear up the puzzle." "Oh, but you did," Dickon assured him. "Don't you remember how he drew a design on a stone, a cross just like that crystal cross he showed us later, even and spread at the ends, instead of the usual straight plain Latin cross? He told you not to be stupid or something like that." Hugh smiled ruefully. "And I guess I went right on being stupid. That special cross is on lots of those loose pages of the broken book, and in the unbroken part too. And I thought he meant for me just to go on plugging away at salvaging pages." "Yes, but that is on the chart too. Don't you remember? And it is somewhere else. Hugh, it is the sign, the key to the whole thing. Come on in, and I'll show you." They opened the heavy wooden door of the old church and went in. Once inside, Hugh paused and looked about him. Often, as he had stepped into it to hide or take out sheets of parchment from behind the loosed board, he had never given the church itself much thought. The monks had not used it for generations, not since the spacious and beautiful modern edifice of St. Mary's had been built. It was typically Anglo-Saxon in form, rectangular, without transepts, instead of the cruciform Norman church architecture, and now it was bare, empty, unadorned. At the far eastern end, opposite the door by which the boys had entered, was the chancel, separated from the nave, short though that it was, by a low, rough stone wall with a broad arch in the middle. Through this arch the altar could be seen standing well away from the back wall, with a canopy over it, a square altar of old and darkened wood, topped with an altar stone of rich grained marble, with nothing whatever on its dust-covered surface. The walls of the old church had originally been wood, over which a lead substance had been laid, a curious alloy no longer understood. The roof was still composed of it, and one might see the edges of it around the narrow glassless windows, but interior as well as exterior had, at some long past date, been covered again with wood which had weathered with age into a rich hue. No furniture remained in the church at all, nothing save that plain ancient altar. Hugh felt suddenly and unaccountably moved as he stood there looking around at the little empty building. A sense of its great age filled him with awe, and the thought of the countless human beings long dead who had knelt on the worn cold stones of that floor, turning their eyes, sad, eager, radiant, full of fear, adoring, as the case might be, toward that square altar set behind the chancel wall, and only glimpsed through the archway, impressed upon him a feeling almost as if they were still kneeling there at the moment. And there was something more. The boy could not have described it or explained it, but in that quiet, empty place he suddenly felt as if he were in the actual presence of something holy, as if he must kneel down himself reverently and bow his head. Dickon nudged him impatiently, and the spell broke. "What are you gaping at?" said he. While Hugh had been daydreaming, he had got the chart out of its hiding-place behind the loose board, and now he was pointing to an indistinct mark on it. "See that?" Hugh looked closer. It was the even cross. "And now," continued Dickon, his voice taking on the pride of a showman, "see what we have here." He moved quickly down the nave, Hugh following him, in through the arch and behind the altar. There he knelt down, scanning the worn blocks of stone with which the floor was paved. Hugh leaned over him and exclaimed in surprise at what Dickon pointed out. In the corner of one of the largest stones, almost obliterated, was the indistinct outline of the same even cross. Dickon was feeling under the edge of this slab of stone. Using both hands, he forced a latch of some kind, cleverly concealed. "Here, give me a lift," said he. "I managed it by myself once, after I discovered the latch, but it's most too much for me." Hugh's fingers felt around the edges of the stone slab also, and then the two of them, bringing all their strength to bear, pulled it up, displaying beneath rough-hewn stone stairs leading down into darkness. These they recognized as the steps into the wall behind the well that they had climbed before from the other end. When they had gone to the bottom of them, Dickon paused, reached into a small recess beside the bottom step, and drew out some rushes dipped in wax and some flint. "Candles are hard to come by," he said, "but I've still got two hidden in the cave by the moor entrance anyway, and these rushes will have to do for here." "Then you haven't given up searching entirely?" questioned Hugh. "Well," answered the other dubiously, "there does not seem to be anything else mysterious and hidden that we can find down here, now that we've discovered the whole way from the cleft in the moor to the interior of the old church. But I like the feeling that I can come down here to a place nobody knows anything about." "Except Blaharis," interrupted Hugh. "Funny he should be the only one to have discovered all this." Dickon had been leading the way across the cave of the well as they talked, and now he paused before the wall opposite the well and scanned the flat stones that lined it. Again the faint carved outline of the even cross showed him which one covered the hidden doorway, though the stones themselves were so skillfully set in the wall that no one could possibly have guessed any single one was any different from any other. Together the boys pulled at the slab of limestone which was held in place by a hidden latch like the one above, and when it finally swung in on creaking, rusty hinges, a large, apparently straight passageway opened up before them, leading off into the darkness. It was in good repair, and high and wide enough for the big chests in the treasure vault to have been dragged through it, and every few yards there were niches in the walls where treasure might have been stored, but they were completely empty. "Here are two passageways," said Dickon a moment later, moving on. "The right-hand one goes straight to the Ombry doors, this one bearing off to the left and shortly, blocked by a cave-in." "Let's see it," said Hugh, taking the one indicated. It did not extend far, and, as Dickon said, ended abruptly in a pile of loose earth and stones. "Maybe this one's led on to the sea. Here it is on the chart, extending a long ways." Dickon merely grunted. They returned to the place where the two passageways had come together, and followed the right-hand one to the doors of the Ombry. The bolts stuck badly, but were finally drawn, and the boys stepped out into the treasure vault they had originally found. "So that is the end," said Dickon with finality. "No mystery any more to unearth, but a wonderful hideout from Viking pirates, if there were any Vikings left these days. But there aren't. I kind of wish there were." Hugh sighed and, lighting a fresh rush candle from the stump of the one he was holding, turned back toward the Ombry doors and the way they had come. When they emerged into the old church again and had managed to close the heavy trap door, they heard footsteps moving down the nave toward the chancel. Hurrying through the stone archway to see who it might be, they were surprised to see Blaharis carrying Excalibur. His face was alight, his eyes shining, and he greeted the boys as if he had fully expected to see them there. "Ah, my friends," said he, "well met. You have reached this sacred spot before me. You have been underground, but you have found the hidden chambers and passageways empty. All that was left in them I took to Beckery. I wanted them, and I wanted more, the other thing. But all is as it should be. It is not hidden in the dull earth that we shall find the shining wonder. Lads, after bitter disappointment and long wandering, this old heart of mine is full of joy. There are forces at work, great forces, good forces, and I know beyond question that I shall see my heart's desire before I die. But first I have a duty to perform, a great sacrifice to make." He moved past the boys and, with quick, determined step, went through the archway and to the foot of the altar. There he knelt, and, taking the great heavy sword in both hands, he raised it aloft, his lips muttering a prayer, then laid it before the altar and bowed so low that his forehead nearly touched the ground. Then he rose and turned to the boys, again leaving the sword behind him. "And now, Hugh, lad, the book of the Saint Grail. Where is it? Show it to me." "The book is in the painted Ombry," said Hugh, "the main part of it. The pages I found in the chest and have been working over are here."
"It should all be here," said Bleharis decidedly. "The book, the whole of it, and the sword. Also the crystal cross, all my relics and yours, St. David's altar, and those other things down yonder. This is the spot most hallowed in all England. They should be here, all of them. They are not yours or mine to keep and hold."
There was an undertone of excitement in his voice, a certainty and conviction. Hugh warmed to it. The three moved to the front of the old church, and Hugh took out his pile of manuscript pages, showing Bleharis the ones he had worked out and those still to be done. The old man looked at them keenly, then drew a deep sigh. "I cannot read the script any more," said he shortly. "My eyes are grown too dim. Dost thou say truly this is part of the book of the Saint Grail?" Hugh nodded. "And when thou hast read it all and got it all in shape, what then?" "Then I will take it to Brother John." The boy spoke eagerly, "and with what he has found, the pages written over, we'll be able to piece together a good part of the whole thing, and then we'll rebind it, or maybe we'll make a fresh copy, and it will be the loveliest book in the whole world. We'll have blue enamel set in the binding, and maybe gems, and a clasp of gold. I know Brother John will want to make it beautiful." The hermit grunted impatiently. "What matter the outside of the book, boy? But the inside and the story of the Grail, nobody in all the world knows that story from beginning to end. I did once, and the ancient bards of Wales who told me knew, but they are dead now, all of them, and my old memory has failed. Hugh, lad." He laid his large hands on Hugh's shoulders and held him gazing passionately down from his great height into the boy's eyes. "Hugh, lad, whatever comes to pass, let nothing destroy that book. It must be given, dedicated, here upon this altar, and then be handed on not only to Glaston, but to generations still unborn. And no one can do that now but you. No one."